the right people come together at the right moment, when they care almost as much about winning as they do about each other, they can become the best of the best.
Welcome to the best soccer show, the best soccer show in the whole world.
Here we go. It's the best soccer show. Jason Davis and just Jason Davis and nobody else. I am here. It is Wednesday. We plan to do a show. Life intervened. The Rhodius is not going to make it. I've only just found out myself, and through no fault of the Rhodius, I don't think. This is technology run amok. Let me tell you the story of what happened. So today or early yesterday, whatever, I said, hey, do you want to do a show this week? Because we have life stuff. It's an evening program. There are kids, there are responsibilities. And he said, well, there's some stuff going on, but I should be good. And I said, okay, great. Awesome. Let's get the show together. Plan for a show, and then stuff happens. Like fun stuff happens. Now, I wondered if we would have anything to talk about, but we've got the Josh Sargent saga at Norwich City. Weston McKennie scored a goal in the Champions League today. We can talk about that for sure. We've got this wild story about Adrian Heath. Have you guys seen the story about Adrian Heath? Because that is nuts. But we'll get to that. All right. And then MLS is a category on Jeopardy. MLS is a category on Jeopardy. And I have not seen the questions. I kind of skimmed past them a little bit in my social media feed, but I did not see them word for word. I do not know what they looked like. And I've gotten some video, courtesy of our friend Douglas Reyes Sargent over on Blue Sky, who clips everything. Clip this up. So I would I want to play some MLS Jeopardy. That sounds great. I thought I was going to play it with Jared Dubois, but no, instead texting back and forth with my boy, the Rhodius. And here's what happened. He goes, so I'm on the air today doing that. Do you guys know that I have a radio show? Do you guys aware that sometimes I get to go on the radio and talk about soccer? WNBC. And today was a really good show over on Sirius XMFC. I was working with Eric Winalda as always, and we did Champions League coverage, and then we had a beef with Charlie Stilitano. That was actually not a beef. It was all very fun. And I was doing the show, and my phone rings. Phone rings while I'm on the air. Now, I'm smart enough to have it on vibrate. Never have your phone, with a ringer on while you're doing a broadcast. That's very It's very unprofessional, you guys. So I have the phone, and it goes bzzz, and I see that it's Jay Rhodius is calling me. He's calling me.
Jay Rhodius.
I wish my phone played that when he called. It doesn't. He calls me, and I go, well, this is odd. Not because, I don't want to get a call from the Rhodius, but why is he calling me? He probably doesn't know I'm on the air. We were pushed back an hour because of the Champions League. Maybe he thinks I'm already done with the show. Sometimes he's been known to do this. He's been known to call me while he's in his car because he has an idea. So the Rhodius will drop me he'll call me up and hey, I just thought about this thing. Let's do this thing on the show. Let's play a game. He loves to play games, right? So sometimes the Rhodius will call me up and he'll say, let's play a game. I got an idea for a game. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. That's not what, I don't think that was going on. Well, he didn't leave a message, right? So I have a message from the Rhodius. So I text him, I'm on the air, and I'm like, yeah, Eric Winalda, that sounds like that's a very astute. Text my Rhodius. Hey, yes, absolutely, Eric. I 100%. Yeah, 100. Yeah, Eric. Yes, you're right. You're right. The German Bundesliga is the best league on the planet. I text the Rhodius, and I get nothing back. Not a word. Not like, hey, this is why I called you, or maybe I butt dialed you, or I had an idea for a game. Nothing. So I go about the rest of my evening. I get off the radio at 8 p.m. Eastern time, and I've got a 4-year-old who was homesick today. He got better because he was ramped up at the end of the evening. He's getting ready for bed. The 17-year-old is prepping for his life, looking up college things. The family's already eaten because, it's 8 o'clock. And I'm going to go up and grab something real quick to eat. And then I've got to get engaged with bedtime and read the story for Tiago, who will be 5 on Friday. And I'm like, okay, all right, they're still planning on the show. I'm still planning on doing the show. I come and I create the show in our software so it populates on YouTube. And I'm like, okay, everybody's going to know that the show is ready, where the link is going to be out there and people will be able to watch live. And then, you know how we do. And thank you to everybody who's here tonight. And I'm like, okay, this is go. This is a go. I haven't heard otherwise from the Rhodius that it's a go. It's a go. I sit down. I start prepping some things for the show, including that video of Jeopardy and a couple of headlines. I'm like, okay, the Rhodius isn't here. Usually he's here. Now, sometimes he doesn't show up until it's a little late. Okay. Maybe 5 minutes before showtime will be like the drop dead moment when I'm like, oh, now. So it's 3 minutes before the show starts. And I'm like, the Rhodius isn't here. Let me check. Hey, are you good for the show? And he goes, no, what the hell? I told you, I texted you earlier from my car texted. Hold on, I want to read this because I want to get it. I want to get this right because this is so Jay Rhodius. Right, again, I'm not blaming him because he had life stuff. That's important. Okay, no, he said, what the hell? I texted from my car. And I'm like, okay, no worries, brother. Like, this happens. Gets to life. And then he said, it doesn't show here. Fuck, I'm sorry. I'm like, don't be sorry. It's all good. He screenshots where he sent me the message about not being available tonight. And then it says, WTF, my car texted to your email address. That's a thing you can do, even by accident. You can text somebody's email address. So I guess the Rhodius was using his voice texting capabilities. And he said, text Jason, and it texted my email address instead of my phone number, but also I never got it at my email address. So what? I don't know, man. Anyway, I'm here. I don't know if I'm going to spend. Oh, look, it's in my spam. I just found this in my spam. Holy crap. It's actually a spam message from his phone number, which is, ready, everybody get your pencils and pens out. Jared's phone number is 95. No, I'm not doing that. So it texted me. I mean, it sent me a message into my inbox, but it's in my spam. And there's a text file, TXT file. Hey, dude, looks like it's a no-go for tonight. So shout out to the Rhodius. That's great, man. All right. So look, there are things to talk about. The bat signal didn't even need to go up. I didn't even need to send a message or ask or whatever. And I think JTT, Jonathan Taylor Tannewald, may be available to jump on board. If JTT is listening, watching, and he has the link, you're free. Jonathan, anytime you want, you can jump in here and we can talk about the stories of the day or whatever else is going on in the world of American soccer. And look, we're hanging out. You guys are in the chat. So if you got conversation you want to bring up, I'm going to go. Okay, let me look and see what's coming because I've told this story now. And let me look. Well, Jonathan's saying, I realize that Jeopardy won't have aired on the West tonight when it comes up on the show. Oh, we're going to spoil Jeopardy? Are we going to spoil Jeopardy on the show? Let's see. What else have I got? Jared's not around to complain. I don't know. Is Jared a Jeopardy guy? I'll say this. I haven't watched Jeopardy in a very long time. I do enjoy me some Jeopardy. I just haven't had time. I haven't made a space for it in my life. Let's see. RC Rivera. If Jared is too drunk to jump on, you can tell us. I don't believe that's the thing. I think, West Coast timing. He's getting out of work. Stuff's going on. Nate says teasing the Heath thing. I will tell you about the Heath story. That's a crazy, crazy, crazy thing. Important here from Robert from LA, talking about Richie Ledesma. Brian Gutierrez too. Apparently that's a package deal. Not really. Both of them doing their one-time switches to play for Mexico. So no more possibility of Richie Ledesma nor Brian Gutierrez playing for the United States of America. Tom is saying, Jason talking Ronaldo like a work wife. You have to listen to that show for the dynamic. Jay Rhodius will always be my first. Well, he actually wasn't my first. He was the best. Still is the best. But I do enjoy working with Eric Winolda. The vibe on that show is fun. There's a lot of jokes. We have a good time. So if you don't listen to Sirius XMFC, check it out sometime. Maybe rent a car or find somebody who's got an account and share it with them or something. You can get it on your phone even. It's an app these days. Don't know if you guys knew that. It's an app these days. All right, where to begin? Let's talk first about Weston McKennie. He of right now Juventus, one of the most famous clubs in the world, a club in the Champions League this season, a club that is not at their heights. I think it's important to say, as we talk about what Weston McKennie means to Juventus, that Juventus is not where they expect to be. And I spent a lot of time this week talking about expectations around clubs, the bar that clubs set for themselves, the bar that the fans set for their teams, and sort of how not living up to those expectations causes oftentimes a cycle of, I don't know, mediocrity could be a word. I don't know that you would call any of these big clubs mediocre relative to the rest of the clubs in their division, but Juve is supposed to be playing for Scudettos. They're not supposed to be fighting for a Champions League spot. They're not supposed to be scrapping at this level. They're supposed to be challenging for the number one spot in Italy. They're supposed to be challenged for a Champions League trophy, and that's not where they are. So I think it's important to kind of point this out, that when you have a historically great club like Juve, and you're not measuring up, even the players who do perform for you, and Weston is one of those, even the players who do show up for you, sometimes will get dismissed or downgraded or minimized. And I think there's some of that working against Weston McKennie. And what I mean by that is, let me say it more clearly. It's like, oh yeah, Weston is really good and Weston plays well for us, but we aren't hitting the heights. Therefore, Weston can't be that good. Or therefore, Juve needs to find better players because Weston is just the best of a not great lot. Right? That to me is kind of the vibe I get from what's going on at Juve. And they've made a managerial change with Spalletti and things have gotten a little bit better. And obviously McKennie has been part of that story. Again, scoring today, very nice little combination with Jonathan David to get a goal in that match, an important one for Juve against Benfica, Jose Mourinho at the Allianz Stadium. And the backdrop to this, and the thing that automatically happens for us as American soccer fans, is we start talking about how underappreciated Weston McKennie is at Juve. We talk about how unfair it is that Weston McKennie's not appreciated at the right level at Juve. Now, I get the sense that he's not, hated by the fans or that they don't. It's not that they don't love him. It's, again, this idea that Juve, whether it's the leadership at Juve or it's the fact that the managers have changed over and over again, as Robert is pointing out, or whatever it is, that they can't look at Weston McKennie and go, that's a building block. That's a solid piece of our foundation. That's who we need. And obviously, to get to this point where his contract runs out this summer means that now Weston is not incentivized to sign a deal with Juventus at whatever rate they might offer him ahead of a World Cup in the United States of America. Now, I think it's still an open question of just how important Weston McKennie is to Mauricio Pochettino, right? There's still at least some uncertainty over how much Pochettino will rely on Weston McKennie this summer. But now McKennie is incentivized. And by the way, I'm not talking about like the way he's treated by the players around him or anything like that. Isn't he still a vice captain? Yeah, he does have, standing in the club. There is absolutely no doubt about the fact that Weston McKennie has standing at Juventus. But I still think that above that level, above the player level, above the technical staff, he is still like, do we really want this guy? Do we really want to pay a premium for this guy? Or do we want to give him what he might be worth in his own mind? Right? That to me, I think, is an interesting question here, because again, the contract runs out this summer. So now Weston is incentivized because Juve has wasted time and dilly-dallied around the idea of a contract for him and not given him the offer that he can't refuse. He is now incentivized to play through the World Cup and look for a deal after that. Look for a new club after he has performed on the biggest stage in world football in his home country. And I look, more power to him. Like, he's clearly a very, very, very good soccer player. I think he's learned a lot since the terrible stint at Leeds, which was about Leeds as much as it was about McKennie. He was maybe scapegoated, even if he has admitted he wasn't necessarily in the right shape to play in that club. So I think that Weston McKennie, again, another notch on his belt or whatever you want to say, scoring this goal today, which I think has him second all time for Americans in the Champions League. He maybe already was, but he adds another goal to that total. He's behind Christian, who's number 1 on that list. Look who it is. Look who has entered the building. It is one Jonathan Taylor Tannenwald, JTT. Let me play you in because it would not be appropriate just to let you talk without.
Where's that guy?
Is that JTT?
OMFPG-13, it's JTT!
Who? There he is, JTT. Welcome to the show, Jonathan. Thank you for
Thank you, my
coming
friend.
Yeah.
Appropriately disheveled coming on camera, that's for sure.
You're disheveled? You don't look disheveled to me.
On top, I had a filling this morning, and the Novocaine has worn off just in time for me.
Just in time. I didn't know you were a Rock Chalk Jayhawk guy. What's going on with that?
Jayhawk.
Oh, that's a France shirt. I should have known better.
Footics.
I should have.
I believe I have worn this on your show before. But
you probably have. I should have known better. I don't know why that.
It is the best mascot in World Cup history.
It's the color scheme that threw me off. I am soccer soaked. I've been saying this. Not soccer brain, soccer soaked. I got an email today from Front Office Sports. One of their. I'm on their list. I get an email and it says that Mark Cuban is backing the College Cup, and I was at. Mark Cuban's backing the College Cup? And no, actually, I read it again. Mark Cuban backs a college cap in terms of spending in the NIL era. And I was like, oh, that's how soccer brained I am.
And I believe isn't he an Indiana guy? He's in a pretty good mood this week.
Yeah, he's in a good mood. Yeah, suddenly he's an Indiana guy. Never saw him in any Indiana stuff before, but he's very much an Indiana guy, right? Why wouldn't you ride that wave?
No.
If you're a Indiana alum. John, thank you for coming by. Do you want to add anything to the Weston McKennie conversation before I move us to other topics?
When's he out of contract?
I believe it's this summer. I don't think he has a contract past this summer at Juventus.
I saw somebody put a 10 million euro something valuation on him, and my thought was
10 million pounds was a number I saw linked to him, and obviously that's a discount on his value in the open market if he has a contract, because he will only be 6 months before they would need to find a new deal for him. So I think that's why that number has struck me as really low. But then I realized, that's basically like 6 months of Weston McKennie. It's a rental fee.
Yeah, and I saw Atletico Madrid and thought that wouldn't really be the right fit for him.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think Simeone is caught in between a couple of thoughts in terms of how he wants to play these days. They got an important win today, did Atleti. I don't know, or did that end up as a draw? Excuse me, that ended up as a draw against Galatasaray. My mistake. I forgot about that early goal from Durante putting in his own net. Yeah, I don't know that that's the best fit. And there's already an American there. Not that he's on Weston McKennie's level, but there's already an American there who's not exactly tearing up the joint. So
no, and I don't think he's going to the World Cup at this rate.
No, it doesn't look like it. We're talking about Johnny Cardoso, who did play today.
I don't think he's going to get called up in March at this rate, and I don't think he's going to go to the World Cup. And I can't fault that.
Well, that's interesting considering that Tyler Adams will not be available in March, so he won't be in that team. If Johnny can't make a team with no Tyler Adams,
Adams has merited inclusion. I'm not sure Johnny.
Well, what I'm saying is when you are down players in one position, you typically look for other players in that same position to come in and impress you. And maybe there are other options.
Maybe. I'm thinking purely on merit, not injury status.
Yeah, no, I understand that Johnny hasn't done enough to merit a place in Pochettino's team. We'll see. That is going to be interesting in a couple months or in whatever that is, 6 weeks before we get that roster. So Weston McKennie, I mean, the question I brought up today on the radio talking about this, John, is if you're Weston, if you don't feel the love, you probably walk. I mean, again, you probably are worth more on the open market on a free after a World Cup than you would be right now. So you have no incentive to sign the deal now. I guess Juve could always try to bring him back in the summer.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't know him or his camp well enough to know where he wants to go stylistically or anything else. He certainly seems happy at Juve. I think that probably counts for something. I don't know. I don't know what he wants.
Or if he has, it's always struck me as, obviously, again, the Leeds loan sort of notwithstanding, as odd as that was. I don't know how to gauge Weston's ambitions. If he and I'm not saying that like in a critical way, like I don't know if he has ambition, because if you're a player and you thrive in a place and you're comfortable and your soccer is going well, then you risk a lot by changing your circumstance unless it's for 100 million pounds or whatever some of these top players go for, right? So, and there is a question of, his personal life might come into the equation if he doesn't want to leave Italy because there's somebody there he wants to be close to. That could be a thing. But if you're Weston McKennie and a team with a higher level of possibilities is sniffing around, are you chasing that glory or are you sticking where you fit?
What's a higher level of possibilities?
A team that actually could win the Scudetto. Or the team that could actually win the Champions League.
Juventus is supposed to be.
Yeah, that's what I said. But are they there?
You tell me. I mean, in future seasons.
Well, that's okay. That's a commitment to we're going to build this, and I want to win a Scudetto with Juve. I don't understand. Again, that would be admirable. But I definitely think there are lots of players who would look at that situation at Juve and go, "Okay, this is fine. It's a big club, but if I don't know, Liverpool comes asking about me, or if PSG comes asking about me, or if
PSG is not going to ask for him.
No, that's not about Weston McKennie. It's about the notion of a bigger club with trophies that they can win. Because again, I'm not discounting Juventus as a future contender for things, but as they exist right now, and the current season playing out as it is, they ain't winning the Scudetto.
No,
and they're not going to win the Champions League.
No. I guess part of it, and I'm looking up the Serie A table as we speak.
Inter's on 49 points. Milan's 3 points back in second. Napoli
I don't trust Milan.
In third. Well, but they've done reasonably well considering some of their flaws. I don't think Nicholas Fulkrug is the answer, but they've done pretty well considering their flaws. I think Allegri's a very good coach. And we're gonna find out. Now, Napoli is kind of the X factor here. Now they're in the Champions League this year, which makes it tougher for them and Conte. And so again, Juve's not charging 10 points up to challenge Inter. That's my point.
No. So and I suppose that as Conte has not managed Juve since 2014, so he didn't manage McKennie.
No.
Conte is a madman, which is fine, but I don't know. I really don't know with Weston, and I don't know about the other guy I think you're going to mention next either.
The other guy I'm going to mention next, Josh Sargent?
Yes.
Okay, we'll come to him. The thing about Weston, too, is that there has been this idea that he could be enticed, or at least some club here on the other side of the Atlantic would make a significant offer to him. Now, again, we're watching Toronto do what they're doing with Sargent. We'll see if that attracts Sargent. Sargent's not the same level in terms of accomplishment as Weston McKennie, so you imagine it would take more than what TFC is offering, or just in terms of salary, to get Weston McKennie to jump back across and play in MLS. And that would certainly be something that would stick to him in terms of ambition in some people's minds. If he went from, he's at Juve and he's played out his contract and he could have offers, and then he takes a big DP level contract to play for Chicago or somebody, then people would question his ambition.
Here's what I think about that. He is 27. He will turn 28 in August, the end of August. He will be 31 at the next World Cup, about to turn 32. That on age is not grounds for exclusion. He could make that World Cup team.
Sure.
So that's got to be in his mind, because he's not going to go to MLS and go back to Europe after that.
I mean, he could. It's not impossible to imagine that. I'd like to see an American do that, by the way.
I don't see it with him. But
you're saying that if he comes to MLS, he stays in MLS. That's the last place he plays, Major League Soccer.
I have a hard. It has more to do with the way European teams sign players at this point, where they only really want to buy young.
No, that's true. But I think Yeah, depending on what he's willing to take in terms of salary, he might find a soft landing place in a mid-table German
Oh,
club or
maybe,
something like that.
if depends where he wants to go. But if he was a couple years older, if there was any reason, and I'm not casting this on him because, as I said, I don't think it's his last. It doesn't have to be his last World Cup at all. If it was, for whatever reason it was, and in 4 years we might be saying this, pointing a finger at FC Dallas and say, spend the money, bring him home.
FC Dallas will never do that, so it's not even
No,
worth
they won't.
asking.
But that's why
No.
I'm saying it.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. Weston McKennie scoring today. Again, an interesting future ahead of him. So let's move on to Josh Sargent, who you
Right.
just mentioned. A player
I know a little more about him.
a player who has not been able to find his way back into the national team plans in a meaningful sense. Now, obviously, went to a World Cup, hasn't scored for the national team in a very long time. Lots of people hold that against him. I think he's talented, John, but he has never really translated that to the national team level in a way that that kind of made him indispensable. He's been doing very well at Norwich for the most part. Again, that's also a level that allows people to kind of talk down about Josh Sargent because it's not a first division. This is what's out late, the latest on Josh Sargent. This from Tom Bogert. After a heated meeting with Norwich City sporting director Ben Napper and head coach Philippe Clement, it appears that Josh Sargent has played his last game for the club. Sargent was seen visibly upset. One source, there was a comment made regarding Sargent's family, which was last straw.
I wouldn't do that.
You wouldn't do what?
Specifically. I wouldn't make a comment about his family.
So here's where I have to bring in the possibility that some of this is being massaged from the Sargent side of the equation. So if he wants to go, now there's lots of Norwich fans who are upset, and I think probably rightfully so, that he sent a text message to his manager the night before a game and decided he declared himself unavailable, which obviously upset Clement and led to this whole thing about the club doesn't want to sell him. We're dealing with this as a disciplinary matter. He's been demoted to the second team, training with the reserves, and then this. Maybe he gets his way. I mean, this is a player power moment. Probably will always be a player power moment. He might get his way and get to Toronto, John, but at what cost? At what cost?
Cost is not an issue for Toronto. We know this.
I mean, for Josh Sargent, does it matter at all?
No. Well,
if he looks petulant on his way out the door?
No. Because I don't think he's going to make the impression on the one person he needs to make it on, no matter what. Unless he gets the move now and is really on fire coming out of the gate. And I'm not sure there's going to be enough time for that.
Okay, but you're presuming that Josh Sargent, I mean, okay, he probably cares about being in the World Cup, but I think his calculation is I'm not going to do things, I'm not going to make choices, I'm not going to just make my club career about my national team prospects for the tournament this summer when the deck is very much stacked against him. Now, Pepe's injury changes the dynamic a little bit. We talked about this last week.
I think he's back in plenty of time.
That it looks like he probably will be, but I'm just saying for the moment, Pepe is shelved. So if you're Josh Sargent and you were intent on making the World Cup with Ricardo Pepi on the shelf, with Fowler and Balogun as the main competition, and then Wright and Ajamang and Brian White, and those kind of players out there, maybe thinking you're better than them or thinking you can compete with them, if you were just very much determined about the World Cup, you would stick it out at Norwich and try to score as many goals as possible and help them stave off relegation. You wouldn't say, I want to go to Toronto. To me, and the family coming into this tweet, this post by Tom Bogert, and being a factor in today's meeting, how much you want to believe that, says to me that Josh Sargent is not taking the national team into account with whatever move he's making. That this is about maybe money, but more than anything, taking his family and bringing them back across the Atlantic.
It may well be that. But I also think that there's a World Cup element in it, because if he isn't playing enough at Norwich and he isn't scoring enough at Norwich and he thinks the better impression will be made by switching to MLS and scoring a lot of goals.
But is that really the calculation? Like, based on everything I've seen, and I'll admit I'm not watching Norwich every single week. It doesn't seem like he's a guy who wasn't going to get playing time. It doesn't seem like he was a guy that they were just going to
playing time. No,
sideline.
goals is a different question.
But okay, so if you can't, but that's what I'm saying. Like, it doesn't make him look better to go to Toronto and score, I don't know, 6, 8 goals in the first part of the season before, and actually don't even know how many games there are before the roster gets named by Pochettino in Major League Soccer, that he could justify a position in the national team based on his MLS form. That's such a short runway. The smarter thing to do if you care about the national team is to stick it out at Norwich and try to score the goals that will get you into the national team picture based on form.
I'm going to make a counter argument that I don't necessarily agree with. If he goes to Toronto and scores enough goals by Memorial Day, which I'm not saying this is going to happen again, I'm not saying I agree with it. If he's hot and Aubameyang and Wright are in a rough patch down the rest of the way in England, how does it look when he's the hot hand? I don't know, but
yeah,
because Paxton Aronson made that gamble. I wouldn't have done it, and I've lost the gamble. He's lost the gamble. Matt Turner made the gamble, has not fully lost it yet, but has not also gotten his starting spot back yet. And you said a few minutes ago, some people hold it against him that he hasn't scored for the national team in 6 years. I am one of those people. I hold it against him. No, and it is absolutely the retort is, how do you prove that wrong if you don't get to play for them? And my answer is 6 years is a long time, and I'm done waiting.
Yeah. So this is what I'm saying. Like, no player, I don't care if you're well, okay, there are players who have retired from their national team because they just don't want the noise. And some of those players would have been picked, and some of those players maybe weren't going to get picked and just kind of cut it off at the pass and said, whatever, I'm not available. I don't know where Josh Sargent is on his desire to play for the U.S. men's national team, but what seems very clear to me, based on what happened in the summer when he turned down a move to Wolfsburg and a higher level of soccer that could have gotten him back into the national team picture in a more significant way than scoring goals at Norwich City in the championship, he turned that down. He is very much prioritizing his family. Now, to borrow from a different show, a thing can be two things. Josh Sargent can care about his family, want to make them comfortable, want to take care of them, and play for the national team. But I think he's prioritizing family over everything else. And that's what explains
live in Germany?
All these things. I don't think he wants to go back to Germany. No.
Okay.
I don't think that. My guess is that family, his partner, and I think they just had their fourth. Is that right? Their fourth kid? Third kid. They just had their third kid. He is still a young guy. Like, they're still a young family.
Well, some people like being able to speak English.
I mean, there's lots of things about comfort and lifestyle that may be a factor here.
We are throwing accusations around that we have no proof of.
I'm not, but it's not an accusation unless you think it's the wrong thing for him to do, which I don't. Prioritize your family.
I might have a little more at stake than you do in that regard as a nominal journalist.
What do you mean?
That I shouldn't be using things with it. Yeah.
But again, I don't think it's wrong. I understand what you're saying, but don't dodge. You're not doing anything wrong. If the idea is, why do we think that Josh Sargent is doing what he's doing? Again, I don't think it's wrong to suggest this is largely down to his family concerns.
Right. And I want to tie it to one other thing while we're at it, that I think are things of a piece of players trying to make strategic chess moves X number of months out before a World Cup. There is a comment, it was a few minutes ago, I don't have the ability to put it up. Nate Osika said Josh Sargent can switch to Mexico for all I care. Funny coincidence that you said that, because a couple of guys just did, and I don't think that's going to work either.
No, so this came up, and actually maybe it was also Nick. Somebody else said something like, I don't really have any issue about a couple of fringe guys swapping the United States for Mexico. And those fringe guys are Brian Gutierrez and Richie Ledesma. Now, I am higher on Gutierrez than a lot of people, but even I would say it's going to be very difficult for Brian Gutierrez to ever play a significant role for the U.S. men's national team. And I think Richie Ledesma, if what he's done to this point has not gotten him a significant look from Pochettino, he's not getting a look. So,
And if you're, I have an issue with Gutierrez in particular because I believe he's the younger of the two. I don't know what Richie Ledesma's.
You're thinking that maybe his calculation is a little hasty as opposed to Ledesma.
I think when he was making noise, he'd better know that he's going to the World Cup this year, because I think 4 years from now he was on a trajectory where he could have been on the U.S. World Cup team. And I don't think that Pochettino is not a guy to whom you say, if you don't pick me, I'm going to Mexico. Because Pochettino's answer will be, I don't care.
Right. Sure. Which by the way, I'm 100% on board with the idea that we should not be trying to woo dual nationals because they're dual nationals. You pick the guys that are good enough, and if a dual national doesn't get picked because he's not good enough, so be it. If he switches sides, nothing you can do about that.
And the U.S. has not yet been burned. I keep cutting you off, which is bad radio practice. The U.S. has not yet been burned by any of these guys switching to Mexico, really.
Yeah, I can't think of anybody that is, wow, I wish we had that guy not on our side. Who would be the closest to that? Because obviously Jonathan Gomez is a name everybody used to talk about, who has done nothing since all that saga unfolded. No, I'm talking about Gomez, the one who was at Monterrey and had the whole thing with Thomas Röntgen and got the whole U.S. men's national team fan base hot because everybody thought they had failed to do their duty to recruit Jonathan Gomez to play for the United States. That player.
Yeah.
Now,
we're talking about the same guy. Yes.
Okay. We are talking about the same guy? Is it Gomez or Gonzalez?
Check the comments. Check the comments.
Oh, check the okay. Jonathan Gonzalez. Sorry, you're right. Gomez is the one who went to Spain.
Yes.
Who is the left back from Louisville. See, I got my names confused. One is Jogo and one is not Jogo, I guess.
They haven't been burned yet.
No, they have not. No, they have not.
And maybe since Chivas now signs guys who play for the United States, they won't be. But it's
yeah, Chivas relaxing their rules is definitely an opening for a lot of guys who might want to go, explore what's possible in Mexico. And honestly, if you haven't shown up, if you haven't played for the U.S. men's national team at the senior level in a match that cap ties you, or you aren't past the age when you can do your one-time switch or whatever, then, that Chivas thing could be your gateway to playing for Mexico, I suppose. But again, none of the guys have gone down there. It's not a long list, right? We're talking about Cade Cal.
Gutierrez
full
did.
International. Brian Gutierrez just did. Right. That's right. I forgot about that. That's obviously a precipitating issue here. But I'm also thinking about Cruz Medina just deciding to go to Guadalajara, which is the thing that came out today.
That was some scorched earth.
He's not, not thrilled. His dad went off on San Jose, which hard to blame him considering San Jose's complete and utter failure to take any advantage of the player pool that they have around them in Northern California.
To think that if Brian Gutierrez, who was on the Gold Cup squad, had played so much as 1 minute, he would be captain.
Yeah.
I believe.
I mean,
no,
but again,
he was not. He was not in the Gold Cup squad. He was in the Nations League Final Four squad.
There you go.
And if he had played so much as 1 minute in that, he would be captain.
Yeah.
Nathaniel Brown might hurt down the road.
Well, okay. Well, hold on. We're talking about Mexican Americans, or are we talking about anybody? Because
no, they haven't been burned by a Mexican American yet. They haven't been burned in a major way by a guy they could have had.
Okay, so Nate is bringing up Subotic and Rossi. Now, Subotic is an interesting story. We're not going to relitigate that. That's ancient history. Okay, I'm not doing Subotic.
Rossi's pretty ancient at this point, too.
Well, no, Rossi's ancient, but the thing about Rossi is he was never going to play for the U.S. men's national team if he had any hope of playing for Italy. So I don't put any – that's not when we lost. You can't lose something you never had a possibility of getting your hands on. That's not how it – actually, Jason's got to bring up an interesting name here. Obed Vargas. Obed Vargas could be one. I mean, he's still hovering in that plateauing range, and whether he's going to take the leap is a question. Jonathan?
He might be a fine. He might be really good for Seattle. He might be a fine player in League MX down the road. You've got to burn the U.S. on the international team game before I say you burn him.
Okay. All right. Well, I don't know. That's the standard. Again, there are some players, some very good players who could have played for the United States. My radio partner consistently brings up the fact that Jonathan David was born in Brooklyn. And I said, we were never going to get Jonathan David. He was always Canadian. Like, in his heart, he was always Canadian. Don't bring that one up. But if you want to talk about technicalities, then yes, Jonathan David, technically speaking, could have played for the U.S. men's national team.
Don't. And I saw him very briefly in the lobby bar at the Marriott last week. I said hello and then went on my way. Your colleague, not Jonathan David.
Oh, that one, Waldo. I was going to say Jonathan David should not have been in Philadelphia last week.
No.
That would be a very odd situation.
But don't to people who don't know the story. I'm going to make one brief comparison to the women's game, which is don't bring up Sydney Leroux shushing the crowd in Toronto back.
Yeah, that's it.
I was at that game. It was a lot of fun.
See, and here's the thing. I respect Sydney Leroux because she, whatever her other reasons, I think she made a calculation based on what's going to get me the most notoriety. And I don't blame her. That's what players kind of have to do. So, again, this is interesting. Jonathan David seems as likely as Balogun did. I think that's fair, except for the fact that Jonathan David was always going to be able to walk into the Canadian team if they wanted him, which they did. And Balogun was always going to have difficulty breaking into England. It was very, very hard for him to do that. So he made a calculation too, right? No one can claim Fowler and Balogun decided to play for the United States because he bleeds red, white, and blue. That is not what happened. And we have to make our peace with that because that's how modern football works. All right, let's move on because we don't have a ton of time left. Thank you to Jonathan for sitting in. I'm going to throw this one up on the stage. This is another post from Tom Bogert. 2 appearances from the guy from Soccer Wise and The Athletic with us today. Sources, before Inter Miami advanced on Herman Betarame, which is a story in and of itself, Miami launched an audacious bid worth $13 million to LAFC for star Denis Bouanga. LAFC rejected the deal out of hand. Bouanga doesn't want to leave, but would like a new contract. John, your reaction to this?
Sure.
What does that mean? What does that mean, John?
I'm trying to decide whether I'll just go. Don't we call that a free market, or do those not exist anymore? I have the right to try to write you a big check, and you have the right to say no to it.
Yeah. I obviously this, because it didn't happen, we don't have to wrestle with its meaning in any real way. But obviously and look, if they end up getting Betarame, who they're paying more for than this offer to LAFC, then it doesn't matter. Bouanga, Betarame, they're spending big on a striker, and they're doing things that have got a lot of soccer fans, those who maybe aren't knee deep in the roster rules and the budget rules, John, going, how are they doing this? And that is just the shock of it. And again, I understand that there are explanations for how Miami is getting away with this, but people do think they're getting away with something. And this is, even if this didn't happen, this seems like the kind of thing that, like, oh, they're just out of control, John. Inter Miami is what's going on here?
I do care, but I don't care. I'm sort of at a point with American soccer leagues. Let them spend money.
No, I am too. I think ultimately the idea of letting Inter Miami, with an ambitious owner who wants to make a splash and is opening up a new stadium this season, don't forget that, or anybody else who wants to put their money down, let them do it. I think we're past the point of, well, we've all got to watch our pocketbooks because the league could fold at any moment. That ain't a thing anymore. Right? You're not selling that to me as a reason to be skinflint. So let them spend. I'm on board that train, John. But again, the idea is, if you have rules, if you have constraints, and somehow there's one team scooping up all this talent, Allende, and they Betarame, and they made a move for Bouanga, and people are going to go, I thought there was a salary budget. How is Inter Miami doing this?
Well, there's not a salary budget, really. But I can interpret Tom's report as saying they were not going to sign Bouanga and Bertarame. They were going to sign one of the two.
Exactly. That's what I mean by this didn't happen, therefore we don't really have to wrestle with it. But Bertarame is coming apparently, which means there is that sense that the rich get richer.
Well, they've got 2 DPs and they've got room for a third. And Allende is what age?
Jenny's 22, I think.
He's 26.
Oh, he's 26. He's a lot older than I thought he was. My apologies.
I don't know, but everybody's got $5 million in allocation money now. I mean, there is a lot more money sloshing around in that allocation pot than I would have thought. And you can do stuff with that.
There's also this thing, which I think people just kind of gloss over and then don't really want to deal with, because if you don't root for a team like Miami, and I think you could throw LAFC, the Galaxy, maybe the New York teams into this pot, although I think it's a tougher sell because of some other things. I think this is what gets missed is people want to play in Miami.
Yeah.
And not only do they want to play in Miami, they want to play with the greatest player of all time if they can. So there are guys who might cost a lot more money somewhere else or ask for a lot more money somewhere else who are saying, okay, I'll come. And, obviously there are people who conspiracy theorists and the like would say, well, they're somehow making these players whole under the table, or there's some other magic happening here to get them to sign in Miami for less money than they could get somewhere else. But there's definitely a messy discount on some of these players.
Miami has $6.4 million in allocation money in the bank. That is the fourth largest amount of any team in the league. It's a lot of cap space to play with.
Yeah. And here's the thing. Again, it goes farther from Miami, even though it's a more expensive place to live than Houston, who's third, Real Salt Lake, who's second, and Minnesota United, who's first.
Yeah.
It's a much more attractive place to play. You're playing with the Lionel Messi. You're playing with, Rodrigo de Paul. You're playing under a guy like Javier Mascherano. Like that. I don't think it's rocket science to figure out how they're doing this.
No. And you mentioned the 2 New York teams who I don't really think spend enough to be deserving to be in that category, but I will put Chicago in there because they are both trying and especially once that new stadium opens, one heck of a destination of a place.
But that's in the future, John. And I think you're right that there's something about Chicago. But if we're talking about tiers of, especially European players, but I think you could obviously throw South American players into this because we're talking about Miami being an attraction to South American players.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's Miami's an easy sell. San Diego should be an easy sell too. A different kind of easy sell, but an easy sell from a lifestyle and weather perspective. At no state tax, Thomas is saying, which is a very good point about Florida. Then then again, so we're talking California, and then where does New York, because it's New York, fit in? If they don't want to spend, that's on them. But in terms of the attractiveness of the market, they should have an advantage. And then maybe Chicago. And again, especially if they open up the new stadium when they say they're going to do it. Now,
let me give you another one.
Okay.
Notwithstanding the current circumstances, which are not perfect by any stick to sports stretch of the imagination, the nation's capital is a pretty nice place to live and to play soccer, and it has been for about 50 years.
You're so biased.
And what are they doing with that?
I don't have time I don't have the time, nor the energy, nor the appetite to open up the can of worms that is DC United. I just don't. I don't.
Well, then,
it's wasted. You're right. It's wasted. I think it probably would be a tough sell right now for a lot of people to come play in DC.
Because I know somebody who wants to play in that city and wants to play in that stadium, maybe not for DC United, and maybe she will. I don't know what they're doing in Los Angeles tomorrow, but I've started to wonder.
Mm-hmm.
And if there's a soccer team in that city, they can make it clear that Washington's a great soccer market, which I'm a little biased about that part for sure, but you live there too.
Yeah.
there is a team in that stadium showing what that market can be.
Absolutely.
And maybe there could be more than one.
Sure. Yeah. John is alluding to women's
Trinity Rodman.
what's happening? Yeah. Well, Trinity Rodman, obviously. Yeah. Okay. Before we run out of time, I wanted to get to this briefly. This is a headline at The Athletic today. Read this story through a couple times. This is the story of Adrian Heath, a guy I've worked with on the radio, a guy that I'm sure you've run into many, many times in your MLS travels, Mr. Tannenwald. The story of Adrian Heath being caught up in a scam for a job that didn't exist and ended up kidnapped in Morocco for 2 or 3 days because of an extortion scheme. And I don't know where to begin with this. I've talked through it a couple different times today already, John. There's a lot going on in this story.
It's terrifying. First of all, it's absolutely terrifying. I give Adrian Heath and his wife, let's be clear, because she's also in this.
Yeah.
Quite a bit of credit for coming forward and talking.
Yes,
absolutely. I give Paul Tenorio, who's a dear friend of mine, I believe of yours too, a lot of credit for writing the story as well as he did. Beyond that, it's terrifying.
It's terrifying. If you don't know the details, like if you don't have an Athletic subscription, which you should get, basically Adrian Heath was kind of out there looking for another coaching job after the end in Minnesota. I think what's important to point out is that he went through a whole process and was told he was the runner-up for a club job, and then was contacted again a couple months later when the guy that got the job that he was up for, or he thought he was up for, I'm not sure if that's clear, wasn't doing well. They said, "Do you want to interview again?" He said, "Sure." He had conference calls with people who made it all sound very legit. His wife heard these conference calls and had no concerns whatsoever. He gets on the plane to go to Morocco to ostensibly meet the owner of this Saudi club in Morocco where he owned property, and he ends up in an apartment kidnapped with a knife to his throat. That is absolutely insane. And I think another thing, and obviously, look, it's a retelling. Paul is writing it, did a wonderful job writing it. I'm sure every single moment was harrowing for Adrian and certainly for his wife back here in the States and for his whole family once they found out what was going on. But the clarity of thought that both Adrian and his wife had to find their way out of this, to navigate a path for Adrian to get home safe, is incredibly impressive.
And the dumb luck that one of his kids is in a youth soccer, whatever, the kid that plays, they're the parents of the youth soccer players or whatever, and one of them's an FBI agent. He called the guy, right. The guy got on the phone right away, and kaboom, half an hour later, he's free.
Yeah. The idea that that is obviously an important part of the story, right? He kind of had a shortcut to engaging with authorities who could put the fear of God into the kidnappers, whereas that may not be available to everybody in that kind of way. So, but there are some details that, are just incredible that you probably need to read for yourself. Like, what I feel bad about is they're trying to sell subscriptions to The Athletic to support that journalism, and I don't want to give the whole story away. Go read about Adrian Heath and this harrowing experience that he had in Morocco. You said the courage to speak out, right? A couple of questions are in the chat. This is from RC Rivera. Did they pay any money? No. As far as I know, Adrian says he lost $600 that was in his wallet when he got off the plane in Morocco, and they obviously took that before they let him out and released him, and he got on a plane to Madrid from Morocco. But the thing about the way he and his wife handled it, again, incredibly impressive. The clarity of thought, the decision making in the moment that I don't know that I would have. Man, I don't know if I would have made those same choices. Not because they were the wrong ones, but because I would have been scared to make them. So I think that is incredibly impressive with Adrian. So anyway, go read the details. I think I had one more point. But let's end with something fun, John. Let's talk about something that happened today on national television. And I think John is worried about spoiling this for West Coast people, but I do not care.
The West Coast person is not here, so I'm not worried.
Well, he's not here. There are other West Coast people who listen to this show, or maybe even watch it in real time when it's live. But the East Coast is where the people live. West Coast is beautiful, but the people live on the East Coast. That's what we care about. We care about Philly and DC and those kind of places. I'm kidding, of course. Flyover country, whatever. All right, let's go. This is I'm actually borrowing heavily here or I'm leaning in on the efforts of Douglas Reyes Cerrone, who is over on Blue Sky clipping up anything and everything in sports, basically. But one of the things he clipped up was the appearance of Major League Soccer on Jeopardy. So let's watch this.
Cameron and Ben all looking to do the same.
Try again.
Let's see what happens as we get underway into the Jeopardy round with these categories. First, a trip back to 19th century America. Then we have Major League Soccer, followed by Now See Here, fictional females, some old hard cash, and finally, full start. Responses here all begin with FUL. Bryce?
Well, as a Fire fan, I have to go with Major League Soccer for
First of all, a Fire fan. What? He's a Fire fan, John. That's great. That's incredible. I mean, if I had seen this live, I would have expected every contestant to go, "What's Major League Soccer?" What is that? Are we ready for that? I think Douglas included the clue. So let's see what we got.
800.
All right. Yeah. Like its NFL counterpart, MLS's New England Revolution plays its home games at this stadium in Fox.
Okay, this is the $800 clue. What level of difficulty are we talking about here, John? Or am I just
hold on a minute before you go any further? You've got a comment from Mr. Rivera. I can't imagine this community are big Jeopardy folk. That's what you think. I am not, but I happen to live in the city that has for eons been Jeopardy's highest ratings market every night. It's a cultural obsession.
Wow,
in Philadelphia.
Is it? I had no idea.
You can. I will send you something about it, or you can look it up. It is a much more popular thing than anybody under the age of about 40 might know. It is a big. That hour of Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy are very good hours for television.
I'm old enough to have watched those shows together. I never liked Wheel of Fortune. I always thought that was the more, you always want like, oh, I'm a Jeopardy person, not a Wheel of Fortune person. Ew, yuck. I'm a Jeopardy person where it gets real difficult. Obviously, we all know the answer to this question, right? 100%. We're clear. This is, what's it called? No, I'm kidding. It's
what is Gillette Stadium?
What is Gillette Stadium in Foxborough, Massachusetts?
Brace.
What is Gillette?
Yes.
Major League Soccer for 1,000.
Of the three,
he's just cutting to the chase. We're not even messing around with the 200 and 400 and 600.
Canadian teams
in
the league. This one is based farthest west.
I guess I should let the whole question be, or whole answer be given. I mean, again, this is 1,000. This is the question. Which of the Canadian teams is farthest west? I guess it. What this? Okay. Anyway, I didn't know that these were the clues, John.
Here's the thing, though. It's not by much. Vancouver is not actually by much.
The farthest west of the Canadian teams?
Oh, sorry, it was the Canadian teams.
Yeah, it's just the Canadian teams. I was very confused by your geography there for a second. You're talking about Seattle being as far west, or
I forgot the Canadian part.
Okay,
San Jose is close.
Okay, got it. Okay.
Who are the Whitecaps?
Correct, Vancouver.
Major League Soccer for 6.
For scoring a league-leading 23 goals during the 2024 season, Christia Benteke was a shoo-in for this award.
How do we feel about that pronunciation? That's close enough. Close enough. Shoo-in for the award of Golden Boot? Is that what we're talking about here, or what? I mean,
play the clip.
Ben,
what's Golden Boot?
You're right.
Okay, he was a shoo-in for an award he didn't win. I guess that was 2024. He did win in 2024. I was confused about the year. Okay, here we go.
MLS for 4.
This squad in the nation's capital won the first MLS Cup in 1996 and has won 3 more since.
2 questions about that team.
Two DC United questions. Yeah.
Cameron.
What is DC United?
Right.
Let's go Major League Soccer for 200.
His arrival to play with the LA Galaxy in 2007.
Okay. All right. Now I'm just talking about it. Should have been his rift with his son is currently top of the headlines in England now.
I got one more for you.
All right.
This executive producer of Jeopardy, who I happen to know.
Okay.
You might also. I don't know.
Sure. Okay. No. What?
This executive producer of Jeopardy is a renowned soccer fan. But he was
That's
not
the-
known for following MLS much until now.
Till now, I don't know any Jeopardy producers, unless if I do, I don't remember
The
who was
executive producer
Uh-huh.
at Sony. Let's see if
Oh,
anybody in
okay.
the comments gets it.
Okay. Wait a second.
He
The
used to be
executive-
more prominent in the media than he is now.
Used to be more okay. We're talking okay, I see. You're talking about I don't remember names very well. I
Let's
blank
see
on
if
names.
anybody in the comments
Is this a clue?
probably more than necessary, but yes.
That is a clue, more than
Yes.
necessary. Okay. Michael Davies, is that his name?
Who is Michael Davies? Is the correct?
Okay. Or Davis, I guess. I don't know. They say
Yeah, Michael Davies has for some time been a big shot at
Yeah. All right.
Jeopardy.
I knew he was a TV producer. I forgot he was a
Yeah.
Jeopardy. I thought he was involved with Jeopardy. I guess I forgot.
It's I was in the middle of doing something, writing a piece that'll come out later in the week, and somebody flagged this to me, and I just sort of went scrambling.
Oh, okay. Well,
So,
anyway, that's the Jeopardy MLS category. I feel like they could have upped the difficulty a little bit. At least give me at the age of 40, he was the oldest player to win the MVP award.
it is a
something like
general
that.
interest television show, my friend.
I mean, but Preki should be involved in every television show if possible.
Sure. Where is he these days? Where is Preki, the eternal
He's
question?
still an assistant with the Seattle Sounders, last I checked, Mr. Preki. Yeah. All right. We are at the end. Where John sat in. Jared showed up in the chat and complained about us playing games without him. Although we didn't
Not
actually
taking
play
your
the game.
spot. You're not here.
That's a good point. You're not here. You can't complain, Rodius. That's not how this works. You didn't post.
Rodius.
You can't be like, well, you took my you didn't come to the game. You didn't dress. You're not here. You're not available. Jonathan, thank you very much for coming by tonight, sitting in and saving me, because I would have been here all by myself. Not because Jared did anything wrong. I want to make that clear.
Oh, hi, Doug. Now Doug shows up at the very end.
Yeah. Shout out to Doug, by the way, whose clip we used of the MLS category on Jeopardy. Doug's the best. Go follow Doug on whatever social media he's on. I know he's on Blue Sky. I don't know if he's on anywhere else. Shout out to Doug.
I'm writing something about Matt Crocker. Will be up in a couple of days.
Oh, that's nice. That is good. I feel like there was one more American soccer topic I wanted to bring up, but my mind is fried. So I am done. John, make sure you get your toilet paper and your water and whatever is necessary for the blizzard that is coming for us. If that's
I will it looks in fact like it's going to hit.
Yeah, but I'm in DC or outside of DC. So you know how it goes down here. It's a little bit different.
Yes, it has become that way in Philadelphia in the years that I've lived here. But it is for those who don't know, in Washington, I'm 42. There's about a 45-year tradition of everybody saying it's going to hit and then it doesn't hit.
Doesn't hit. Yeah.
My colleague Tony Wood, who's sort of our weather writer, had a terrific turn of phrase at the beginning of the week. It was yesterday. Computer models continue to insist with a rather uncharacteristic certainty that a big snowstorm has been coming. Now, when have they ever been wrong?
Yeah.
Regardless, whatever does or does not happen from here, the likes of Acme, Giant, Wegmans, Whole Foods, and Trader Joe's, thank you. And that is the most true thing.
Yeah, I've been tasked. I feel like we're fairly well stocked here, but I've been tasked by my wife, who is Puerto Rican, by the way, and has lived through some Northern Virginia blizzards, but is still not comfortable with any single ounce of snow. She's like, we got to get ready. I was like, well, what does that mean exactly? And, she's like, water. I was like, we have water. What are you talking about, water? Anyway, that's it. Patreon.com/thebestsoccershow for all your extra needs. If you want to join the Besties community, it is still years and years and years into his existence, humming along, an incredible place to hang out and talk about various topics. We got a food channel, got a beer channel, we got a travel channel, we got a let's see what else. Jerseys, we got politics if you are inclined or not. We talk movies over there, all kinds of stuff. So join up. Patreon.com/The Best Soccer Show and become part of that community. I would also like to plug Morning Kick Around, which continues to grow. We are doing these series of episodes as clubs get ready to launch. The New York Cosmos, Atletico Dallas, and AC Boise are the three clubs we're focused on right now. We've got episodes up for all three of those teams, and I think some are dropping. We just did Atletico Dallas today, so you can listen into that's an interesting project. I know, John, that USL is not your beat, but maybe one day we talk a little.
Yeah,
USL
I
expansion.
mean, with the Cosmos, have you done a show since Rocco Camiso passed away?
We taught. Well, I guess technically probably yes. When did he pass? Was it Monday he passed?
Something like during the convention.
Yeah. So it happened over the weekend. We talked to their kit designer, who was not a guy who would have been able to talk about Rocco. So it was not Eric Stover. It was their kit designer, which is an interesting interview. If you want to hear, he talks about refreshing the brand and things like that. When you're working with a brand as iconic as the Cosmos, can you make changes is an interesting question. But no, we did not talk about Rocco on that episode. I've talked about Rocco with a number of people, including Charlie Stilitano just today.
What I would say in brief, my tribute to him, is that if you make a list of the most significant people in American soccer in the 21st century, Rocco Camiso is on it.
Oh, absolutely. I don't think
I'm not going to say powerful because he did not amass it in the end. I'm not going to quite say influential, although he certainly had influence. But significant.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And if you don't believe me out there listening, go ask Sunil Gulati and I'll sit you down for an hour.
Oh, Rocco is a cipher. You can put on to Rocco whatever you want. Did he bring about the end of Soccer United marketing and U.S. soccer working together? You can talk yourself into the people have talked themselves into that idea off the lawsuit and everything else. So anyway, yeah, Rocco is a hero. I don't know that he's anybody's villain necessarily, but some people don't think of him as highly, John. And is a character.
You see, I'm shrugging. I'm shrugging if you're listening to the podcast.
We need characters like Rocco Camiso. I used to have a decent Rocco, and now I don't have it anymore. It's all gone. But R.I.P. to Rocco Camiso. John, thank you very much for being here. I do appreciate it.
My pleasure as always.
There goes Jonathan Tannenwald. I guess that's it for me. I've already done the plugs. Shout out to JTT. Shout out to Jay Rodius, who could not have been here, who was not here this evening. Everybody who supports the show, we very much appreciate you. Leave us a rating and a review. That's always good as well. And I guess that's it. I'm going to hit the music now, and I'll talk to you guys next week. Bye.
The best.
Only the best will do.
Take us to DEFCON 3. The Sausage King of Chicago.
WNBC. WNBC. Get to the chopper!
Damn, dog, that's in a boat.
Oh, it's incredible!
Here we go, saucing them up. Hit them, what?